Hey, this is Mike, Seder Vinyl. I'm going to do a video today, and this video is a little bit different from a normal video where I would normally talk about music or records. I'm going to talk a little bit about my turntable and a very significant purchase that I just made. I have been in the vinyl community, starting to recollect vinyl, getting back into it since December 2016. For my Christmas gift to myself, I ended up buying a turntable, a couple speakers. So then I purchased a new turntable. I got the Fluence, which this is it back here, the RT85. And that came with the Ortofon Blue, the 2M Blue. And at the time, before I had the blue, I was just running the red, the 2M red. But yeah, so I've been through a few turntables, a few different styluses and, cartridges or whatever. The RT85, I had the blue, I've had this probably for like 2 years. So I've been playing with this turntable for quite a while. I don't think I'm going to buy a new turntable anytime soon. This whole turntable setup cost about $500, so that's pretty significant in my budget. But what I just bought is even more expensive than that and much, much, much smaller. I am going to upgrade from the 2M Blue to the 2M Black, the Ortofon 2M Black. And I just got this delivered today from Amazon. I bought this one on Amazon. It was just over $600. This is just the cartridge. It doesn't come with head shell. I actually emailed Ortofon and asked them about using this stylus on the RT85, and they did say that it will be compatible. It should work fine. So that was the email message that I got when I went back and forth with them. The one thing that they did recommend, though, is that I use the same head shell, the Fluence one that comes with it, because I believe that this head shell or this stylus has a certain tracking angle that the tone arm has to be at in order to get best results. I'm assuming they don't want me to put a different head shell on there to kind of mess with that angle. It's probably as good as it's going to get, the angle, because the angle, the tone arm, the Fluence RT85 you can't go vertical with it. So there are some turntables where you can move the tone arm up and down, to fit certain specifications of different cartridges or styluses. That is the advice that I got from Ortofon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox this here, and then I'll show you what's in here, and then I will actually go through the install process. So I've put different head shells on before, so you need to have your what's called like a protractor in order to do the lining up. So this will go on the turntable itself in the hole, on the spindle. And then there is markings on here that help you line up the cartridge so that it will be straight. You don't want it to be turned on an angle at all. You want it to be as straight as possible. So the stylus itself, the needle will go into the groove and not be in there on an angle or anything like that. You want it to be as straight as possible. So that's basically what this is going to be for. And yeah, I'm going to open this up. This is the second most expensive thing that I bought for my, to enjoy my vinyl collection with. And yeah, I'm going to go through the process of this and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing that's cool is the whole thing is encased in styrofoam. So there is a little bit of movement in there. So whatever is on the inside still has movement, but I think that the cartridge is kind of suspended in this tube so that it doesn't move around in there. Okay, so this piece just comes off. There's no tape or anything like that. And there it is. Yeah. So you get a brush, a cleaning brush for the tip of the stylus, and you also get the stylus, like I said, in this tube. All right, so there's the tube. This tube has a little bit of weight to it. This actually comes with a screwdriver, a tiny screwdriver, and some screws in there for the head shell. This is suspended in here. It's a little stick on the cap, and then there's also a cap on the cartridge itself to protect the stylus or the needle. So you unscrew it, and there it is. Well, it'll actually go on the record that way, so it's suspended the correct way. Yeah, so I'll be connecting some wires there. I'll be screwing this on the head shell after I unscrew the other one. I'll keep the cap on here until I'm ready to start playing records, because I don't want to accidentally damage the tip there. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this screwdriver here. Well, actually, I'm just going to take this stylus off, this head shell off. And then I kept it's important to keep this stuff. Here's the cap for the blue. This will come in handy now, which is great. I still have this. So now it's protected there. I won't damage the needle part there. All right, so I'm just going to take this head shell off. Okay, that's one screw, and there's a little piece of plastic there, like a little washer. It's on that screw. I might keep that because that was, yeah. I know that sometimes they say to take those off, but I don't know. I feel like keeping that on. Okay, so now the cartridge is free from the head shell now. So now I'm going to take these wires off. All right, so on the new head shell, on the very back, the colors are defined. So you can see blue, red, white, and that would be green. Even though it's not, that one doesn't have a color, but it's the only color that's not there. So that's the colors, that's where I'll plug it in that way. So I'm just gonna leave the leads on the head shell, on the head shell, and then I'm gonna just pull them off of the cartridge. So I have this little tool here, hopefully this will work. I'm not gonna squeeze very tight at all, just enough, to pull these out. There's the blue, green, red, white, and white. Those come off really easy. Really no resistance there. It's good. So same color pattern here, I think. Yeah, so it's the same color pattern on the blue and the black, in case that's interesting. Okay, this is actually screwed on. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a screw there and a screw there. So it's actually, the head shell is actually screwed on where it's going to screw onto the head shell. They actually use the screws to screw it to this cap, which is interesting. So that keeps it obviously stable. And there's an arrow here that says to turn. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, what that does is remove the cap. Okay, cap's off. So now I can reach those screws. All right, that one's out. Okay, so this is ready to be mounted. So I'm just gonna put this on the head shell and I'm gonna screw these in. And I'm gonna kind of go about to the middle. I think that's where the other one was. So I'm just gonna sort of guesstimate on that. Tighten that a little bit because these will be loosened a few times to get the angle of the cartridge correct. Okay, you want to make sure it screws in straight. Okay, that looks good. I can already tell that it's crooked just by looking at the sides of the head shell. So I'm going to correct that right now. And I'm just eyeballing it here. So I still may have to, I'm probably still going to have to adjust it. But at least this might get me to at least the best starting point, having it aligned with the head shell before I connect everything. All right, so now I'm going to connect the leads. All right, so we'll start with white. Push that on there. It kind of clicks, which is nice. Gives you a feeling that it's on there pretty solid. And we'll do green next. Go, nice little click. Blue, little click. And red. There we go. Those connections should be solid. The wires, there's nothing hanging out. Everything is kind of exactly the way it was before, which is good. You don't want your wires to be hanging out or anything. It really doesn't matter, I guess, as long as they're not touching anything, to rubbing against anything that's moving. But yeah, having them tucked back under the head shell is probably the best scenario for that. All right, so then I'm going to screw this on. That's fairly easy, that part. Okay, now comes the fun part. Okay, so I unplugged the power to the turntable because I don't want the plinth to move while I'm doing this measurement, of course. On the back of this, it does have instructions on how to use it. Place this on your turntable hole, the spindle, move cartridge tone arm until stylus rests on the center of the bullseye. Check that the cartridge is square with the outer set grid of lines. If not, loosen mounting screws and twist cartridge lightly until it's square. Then move cartridge so it rests exactly on the center of the inner bullseye. Rotate protractor around spindle is required. Check that the cartridge is square. If not, change overhang. Move cartridge in or out along the axis until cartridge is square. So one of them is to move it from right to left and the other is to move it up and down. So the outer is for right to left and the inner is for up and down. And then you just keep repeating until it's square on both, bullseyes here. So we'll put this on the turntable. It sits on there solid. And I guess the biggest thing is you got to hope that is 100% accurate. that hole is drilled like 100% properly. Okay. And I'm guessing that if this is pre-mounted to a Ortofon head shell, that they've already aligned it, but you probably would still want to do this even if you already have that, even if you bought it on the head shell, because, there could be slight variances, you never know. So I'm going to take this off. check the, okay, that's there. All right, so I can already see that the stylus itself is there. It looks straight, doesn't look broken or anything, which is good. I probably should have checked that before I put it on, but it looks good from the outside. I'm not going to take it apart, but from the outside, I can see it there, so that's good. So now I'm going to move this over, drop my tone arm. Okay, let's see if I just nailed this. Wouldn't that be great? Get me a little... Now, I wish there was a better way to do this, but I think eyeballing it is really the only way. All right, I think I can see that I need to move it a little bit, like a super tiny bit. So I'm gonna put the cap back on, and then I'm gonna move it slightly that way. Just slightly. It's funny because you may almost think that, oh geez, you didn't even move it, but that tiny itty bitty bit of movement could make a big difference. So let's put the cap on. It looks good. I do think that looks a little better. So I'm gonna try it with the cap off, and I'm gonna be really careful when I drop this on here. What you really want to do is not move this back and forth while it's sitting on there. Okay, I think that looks a lot better. And like I said, there's no like laser measurement here, so I really can't tell, you know, at that level, microscopic level, I guess, how close it is, but just eyeballing it is as good as I'm going to be able to do it. Yeah, that looks really good on both. Okay, so I think we're good, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna plug power back in. Okay, plinth is moving now. All right, now the ultimate test. Play some records. All right, I put the blue back in here in case I ever want to need that again, or put it on another turntable. One screwdriver back in here. And there's one more thing I forgot to do, so I'm gonna unplug the power again. And without the head shell on, or without the cap on, because the cap does add extra weight, a little bit extra weight, I'm going to measure the weight of the cartridge. And in order to do that, I'm going to take the plinth off. And that is because the plinth is very high, so my record weight is not, this isn't specifically for records, so I'm just gonna use that. So the 2M Black is rated at 1.5 specifically. I believe there is a range, but I'm gonna try to get it to 1.5. Get it as close to 1.5 as I can. All right, that's 1.4. Again, very sensitive. You don't have to go usually really far to make those slight changes. And depending on the tracking force, the skating has to be changed as well. So you're just gonna have to kind of keep going back and forth. You'll notice like sometimes the tone arm will start moving just a little bit once it touches this part. It's just slightly, so I'm not letting it sit there very long, but if it moves at all, that means that the tone arm is, you know, leaning when it's over across the record, it's leaning one way or the other. It's kind of wanting to pull to the right or the left of the groove. So you want it to kind of be always not moving once you have your tracking force set. Okay, we're at 1.6. I think I might leave it there. Try one more. I'm really close to 1.5, so trying to get it there. 1.4. I went from 1.6 to 1.4. If I get 1.6 again, I'm going to leave it. All right, 1.6 it's going to be. Let me just test it real quick again. It's 1.7 there. There we go. 1.5, 1.6. That's fine. It's going straight down too. I just noticed like it's, depending on the skating, tone arm goes up and down. It might move to the right or left before it reaches the bottom. So I wonder if that's skating. Anyway, it seems to be going up and down now, straight up and down. And we're about right where we need to be. 1.6, 1.5. Plinth back on, plug power back in. Okay, I think we're back in business. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with how that sounded. Got the Ortofon 2M Black installed now, and I'm gonna start playing records and seeing how it goes. Yeah, I'm satisfied with the purchase, and I've only listened to one song so far, so we'll see if I enjoy it as much as I hope I do. All right, thanks, bye.